Small studio, if you're using your webcam, then you don't have a lot of control over what it's going to look like as far as how the camera is going to pick up things. So we have a bunch of challenges, and it's a small space, and we're trying to do it on a budget, and we want it to be clear. The first thing is we want it to be clear. The second thing is we want it to be beautiful. So for clarity, one of the problems that we have in making a 2D image, which is on a camera, depict a 3D image, it's important for the human brain to understand that you have to understand what's going on by looking at the video. The viewer needs to understand what's going on. So getting that clarity of what's going on, part of it is making it clear what a 3D space is. So here's an example of a photo that it doesn't really cut out from the background very well. You can tell pretty well what's going on because of the lighting, but it still blends in a lot with the background. So here's another example of dark background and dark hair. This can happen the other way too. The colors of different things can be combined. So one way to make the background stand out is with bokeh, blurring the background, which can happen in a webcam, but it's not very likely to because you don't have as much control. Another way is rim lighting, having light on the hair, or hair light it's called sometimes. Rim lighting helps to define where the background is and where the foreground is. Another thing is contrast, having a different color background from the foreground. That helps a little bit, but more what helps in this photo is this shadow. There's a shadow of him, so it helps to define how far he is from the background, and that helps us to understand the 3D space. Another thing that you can do to differentiate the background from the foreground is to light the foreground differently from the background. So you can see that there's red coming in this way and blue coming in this way, and as it drops off into the background, it's more of a purple color, so we can start to see the edges a lot better, and we also understand that there's space between the two objects. When you have an object right against a background, you can't get that definition. Here's another example of rim light. Here's another example of different colored lighting on the background and the foreground. Okay, so then once we have our 3D space established and we have enough light so that we can see what's going on, then the next thing is beauty. When we have a harsh, small light source, a small light source makes harsher light. So when that happens, we get to see more definition in wrinkles and less brightness in the eyes. His eyes look dry or flat or whatever because his light source is small. So that's gonna keep happening. Here's another example. This could be a really beautiful photo, but she doesn't have a catch light on her eyes. So a catch light is the reflection of a light on your eyes. This is a bigger light source, but we don't have a catch light. Here's a small catch light. It can make your eyes look beady if you have a small catch light. Here's no catch light. See how her eye looks flat? She has a little bit of catch light right here in the corner, but here's a small catch light, and then here's a bigger catch light. See how this eye looks wetter, fresher, younger, more energetic, all that stuff. You want to get as big of a light reflection right there as you can. That really makes things good. So, and then for you and your purposes, let me just show you a comparison of how this stuff works. Here's me, and this is my iPhone camera, so you're getting all the crappy contrast that's going to happen because of my bright lights. So my front light is really bright, and I'm trying to adjust it, but here we go. Okay, so there's my thing, and then when you're on zoom, zoom is going to crunch down things too, so your whites will become, things will be like, it won't be as smooth. So here we have, you can see me, and you can see the catchlight in my eyes because I'm really close to my lights. Right now I can touch my lights with my hand. I have two lights. I have one, you can see in the top of my eye and the bottom of my eye. I have one big soft box up here and a smaller. I'll show you what that looks like. And I'm really close, okay? So then, as I get further away, you can see really quickly, that light becomes dimmer. Every foot that you move away from your light, it's going to get dimmer. And I'm going to show you that again. Here's close up. See the big catch light? See my eyes? Looking good. And then, as I get further away, the light gets dimmer by a half every foot that you move away. And look at the catch light in my eyes now. It's beadier. My eyes are beadier looking. It's not as nice. I have, the reason my face is all lit is because it's bouncing around the room, but my walls are kind of yellow, so I'm getting a more yellow lighting on my face. You can see my back, my stuff's blending in okay. So movement helps a lot in defining a background, but usually you don't have movement, and if you're using webcam, you have zero movement, so it makes it less clear. Then we have a black background. I can turn on this light, which is a different color from my front lights, and that helps to give me some definition in the background. Okay. For you, one technique that could be cheap is to light from, one thing is to light the curtain behind you with a different light that's separate from a different angle that doesn't shine on you, and that can help out a lot. That's going to give you a lot of definition, and you'll have to adjust it a lot because you just have to tweak and play with it. It seems like it takes forever, but you keep playing with it and you can get really, the cool thing about so in my lights here, all of this stuff is, these are the same color lights. And then the background lights can be whatever color you want. So you want a good light on the front, that's important. And then the background lights and the rim light can be different colors. So you can go cheaper on those ones. Now, yeah, you got your curtain light, and then here's an alternative option for you. This is a pretty bright looking light here that's 139, and you can do a really odd kind of setup where you have a light, you have your light here, and then here's your curtain, your backdrop, here's you, and here's your camera. And then here, is a reflector. Okay. You also need a flag so that the light doesn't get in your camera. So this is that's a little bit of a tricky thing, but a flag just blocks light. So then you're gonna have light that, see, you're gonna have light shining down from your camera. It's gonna go like this. It's going to shine on your hair and your shoulder, giving you a rim light. And then it's also going to shine on this reflector. And that will bounce back at you. Then you have a big light source because you can get a really big reflector and you'll get this reflector as close to you as possible. And you'll have this big thing shining, smoothing out your face, and it will shine on your eyes. That's a weird way to do it, but it could work. Here's a light. This light is bright, but it's small. But what happens is that gets reflected. So it could be reflected off a giant white board, or you could get like these, but I would get a big one. This one's bigger. You do that, or you get a big huge sheet of paper, and that could be what you're bouncing the light off of, or a big white wall, or whatever. The idea is to just get a bright light shining and reflecting back at you. If you want to use the small lights, then you got to go camera, you, and you're going to have to get your lights as close as possible to you. Then you're going to set up some other lights here. These can be super cheap, like Home Depot work lights, whatever. Or you could hang them from your ceiling, and you shine those here on the back. And you could also put like colored gels on those to get them looking cool, or to change the way your backdrop looks. But you got that curtain. So this would be you're really gonna try to get as much distance from, I know you have a small space, but you try to get as much distance from your backdrop to your body, and then you get as short of a space from your lights to your face. And that's what's going to help you out the most.